Okay, hello again, everybody. This is Monday, November 2021. I always forget to change that first slide on my template here, but the rest of it is November. So we are in our Housing with Services call, and we'll start out with our prayer. So if you care to join me, please do. Take a deep breath, center yourselves. Gracious Father, we thank you for the opportunity to meet together today. As we leave this place, surround us with your love. May we see your beauty, feel your love, know your wisdom, and experience your power. May we find the comfort we desire and you and the strength we need in your name. May your presence be with us every hour of the day. May your love be the passion in our hearts. May your joy be the strength when times are hard. May your presence be the peace that overflows our lives. And I'm going to add, and may we all have a blessed and safe Thanksgiving through Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. Okay, jumping right into it. If I miss anybody on this, please let me know if there's any other changes. But we do have a transition in Wahpeton. Wahpeton has a little different model. Sarah is the AL Director of Nursing and the Housing Director. She plays both roles. So normally I don't bring forward the business office managers. However, Don Giles is going to start on November 29th, and she will have quite a few roles within the housing. She'll do the marketing and the sales and the customer service. So fulfills kind of a half BOM, half housing manager role. So we will welcome her when she arrives.
Will you share your screen, Penny?
Oh, yes, of course.
Thanks.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Thank you.
That would have been very helpful. Share. Okay, can you see it now? Okay. Okay, so we have Don Giles, as I just said, and then Living Community of St. Joe's, Casey Clinton. Her last day was about a week and a half ago. So we have an interim in there. We have Naomi Evans, and we also have an interim housing manager. In the past, there was not a housing manager on this building. There was kind of, again, a dual role. And we have Adam McGraw, who is filling that as an interim. So he worked with Benedictine over at Nazareth. And now that we have those new leaders in place, he is moving over to Living Community of St. Joe's in Missouri. And the Shrine, we have a new housing director who will be starting on November 29th, and his name is Mark Warren. So that's transitions. Did I miss anybody or anything? Any new folks? Okay. All right, Linda is on the call as well. I'm going to have her give her a couple of slides here and have her cover some matrix stuff.
Thanks. Are you switching to the next PowerPoint or no? Community should be able to set. Oh, I see. So we're just getting a lot of tickets for communities for assistance with setting up users. And just a reminder, every community should have at least 2 staff people who know how to set up users and can manage that at a community level. Of course, the clinical tickets were always there to help you because it is difficult if you haven't done it for a while or never have done it to set up those single sign-on users. Can you go to that next slide, Penny, on the IT support? And we've had a couple questions the last few days about after hours. And just a reminder that I did send out this sheet, but it's also on eSource under housing in the AL toolkit, that if you are locked out, you only have to wait 15 minutes and it will unlock itself. Or if you do need to call IT support after hours, so it's after 5 and all weekends, there's a number, but they have to choose option 3 and they have to wait for an operator. And they have to let them know that they're a Benedictine employee with an SSO user, and they need to be unlocked. And we have trained the IT support after hours to be able to unlock you, but if you don't give them that information, they're not going to be able to help you. And so if you don't choose option 3, you'll go to an IT support person who hasn't been trained. And that's just to help. Otherwise, you have to call your housing or nurse on call for them to unlock you. So that would be the chain of command there. We don't do support tickets on the weekend. Me and Shelly do try to watch it on the weekend, but it doesn't mean that we're going to answer your ticket on the weekend. So if you can, try to manage that at the community level, that's best. And then we're kind of like your second resource. And then IT is your third. And then we're going to talk a little bit about our new census to add into when you have a new resident moving in. Previously, we used to put everyone in as a pre-admission, but we're going to change that a little bit, and we'll send out a notification also to all the billing people. But we have something new called a move-in census. So that does not charge your rent, and it doesn't go to census. So it won't falsely put a occupied apartment in our census. You really want to start using that. So far, if you want to see them in senior living and start that evaluation early, you just go to your filter in senior living, filter to move in, and your resident will show up there. Then you can get the admission done in your assessment evaluation. You can get your orders put in. And then if they're going to start paying rent, but they're still not moving in, so you had confirmation that the person's coming November 15th, you put them in as a move-in, December 1st, now they're going to be a pre-admission because their rent is starting, but they're not going to come till December 15th. You'd use the pre-admission now census for the rent to start, but the person is not going to be in our building. That will bill the rent. It will show our census as that apartment is now rented, but the person is not active for care assist. Then once the person comes, that's when we want to do the admission census. Now, if you have the person moving in that was in a move-in census and both rent and the person come the same day, you don't need to do the pre-admission census. You can go right from move-in to admission. That pre-admission census is just for if in the interim the rent starts, but they don't come in. So most of the time, I think we'll see the move-in to admission. Once in a while, we might see all 3. Does anyone have any questions about the census? And if you need help, of course, me and Patty Olson, Jackie Frelo can help you. I don't see any chats on there, Penny. So this is new, and we're hoping that it will help us manage our census accurately now, so that we don't keep showing our census has been a little bit off because of this.
And on the reports as well, all the census reports. Yep. So this is great. This is good news. It's going to fix that and still allow us to do that pre-admission move-in. So there were 2 chats that came in prior. They're not about matrix. I have been reminded by Jake that we do have a transfer. So Rob from St. Crispin or Red Wing happens to actually live in Hastings. And so he is transferring to be the new salesperson at Regina. So Jake is sorry to lose Rob, but very happy for him in this role and being able to move closer to home. So there is a new position posted at Red Wing. And then someone also asked a question about who can see the chats and the messages. So yes, we are recording. I did move the chat off the screen share page. And so as long as that screen is not on the screen I'm sharing, it will not be recorded. So feel free to ask any questions that you have. All righty. So, like, as I said in the beginning, we're just going to dig a little deeper into some of the things that we've been talking about since the beginning of this fiscal year in our priorities, and just want to go a little further into process, because I think you'll see as I show you some of the scorecards that even though it looks like there's a little bit of red, people are definitely hearing, they're definitely trying. It's just that we're not necessarily maybe understanding the process or knowing where to document it. So I just want to really give everybody a little bit more detail as we go forward. So within the strategic plan that we all live by, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second, there is several areas to be covered, meet your financial goals, etc. But the main thing for assisted living is improving our willingness to recommend. That's our main goal in AL in general. Others are, the campus-wide meeting budget, etc., care, employees, all the things on the dashboard. But we talk about this one almost every meeting. And so the main things that we are focusing on, the support team and supporting you, and the things that I've kind of picked as, and this year, this is what I'm going to focus on in supporting you so that you can be successful. And then you can, of course, add any other, and I'll again show you this in a minute when we pull up focus and execute. You can pull up any other plan specific to your community. So the customer concern database, which I'll show you, and the person-centered care, which is the person-centered wellness plan, and the point of care compliance. And then again, community specific, you are to pick what it works for you and then put that in your focus and execute. So let's talk a little bit about how we are doing on that. And so I'm going to pull this document up. This is a brand new document that I'm just starting out, and we can kind of update it as we go forward through the rest of the year. So basically, these are the three things, and the point of care compliance, use the customer concern database. Is it documented and focus and execute? So the three things that I'm focusing on in supporting you is use the customer database, customer concern database, the person-centered wellness plan, and the point of care compliance, which is the documentation that our RAs and nurses use to document the care. And then the action plan is what Steve and Jerry Carley and the executive leadership team look at to see how we're doing. So this is where the site-based information should be and documented, and we'll look at that as well. So you can see in here, there is a lot of red under the action plan listed. So I wanted to go into focus and execute and really just show people what this looks like and talk a little bit about what we can do to help improve that. So this is focus and execute. And if I click on each one of these areas, such as if I click on myself, it's going to show my plans for how to support you in moving forward. And it's going to show how far into achieving the results that we have gotten. And so this falls under the increase or maintain housing ALF willingness to recommend. And you can see that I am looking at identifying 2 processes from the lowest performers, and to see if that will, if we can bring up the lowest performers, will that bring up everybody? So yours has this in your focus and execute automatically, and this is populating as well. And so this is something that you can change, you can do whatever, because it really wouldn't necessarily apply to you. So let's go back to our org chart. And as you can see in the red, everybody's got some opportunity here, so I'm not just picking on anybody. But let's pick a couple of different examples of what we can do to really beef this up. So you can see from Ken that he's got some very specific action plans that he is working on. And the only thing that's missing in here is an update on his progress and the comments in the update. So there should be something in here as he's listing all of these actions on where is he at, are they working, are they being successful, just whatever update. And how far into the progress of his plan is he? So the action plan, Sister Claudia's menu, will begin November 1st, will increase the ability to provide a variety of choices. And the sous chef will be responsible for this. So in that, if that occurred on November 1st, then he should have some progress up here that he's moving towards the plan. Another example, I'm going to pick one that's red. I'm going to go back to our little Excel spreadsheet and see who might be red. Let's look at Madonna. So if I go to Madonna, you can see in here, what's happened is the only thing in here is the willingness to recommend and the support team plan. There's no specific plan for Madonna. And so what should be underneath here is, this is the main thing that's going to improve the tower scores. This is the main thing that's going to improve Byron. This is the main thing that's going to improve the Meadows. And just like I talked about within Northfield, within those action plans, there should be updated comments and how much are we progressing? Are we moving forward? So this one is just the default. So again, if you're red and it says no goals added, it means that it's just left at the default. And what you should be doing is looking at your community and your satisfaction results and making a plan for what you should be doing, can be doing to improve those results. Now we got a lot of new leaders. So if you don't know what your results are, email me because I have them and I can send them to you. And if you need any help on creating an action plan or what might move the dial, I can help you. And we have some other folks that have some good ideas as well. Okay, so I'm going to show you one other one. I'm going to go to, I believe it was closed at court. Here's Carol, that I believe had a pretty thorough. Yeah, so you can see in this one that Carol's actually got quite a few action plans. And the action plans, you also want to remember the action plans are supposed to be action. So if your plan is the opportunities for religious services and spiritual support will increase from 35.48 to 54. So what she has done is Carol's actually identified, this is the item that I want to move up. This is what my lowest denominator. But what underneath that, because that's a perfect umbrella, right? But if she had stopped there, which some of you did, what are the actions to making that happen? But she didn't stop there. She created subtasks, and underneath that, how is she going to accomplish that? She's going to accomplish that by sending out a survey, and the results will guide them in developing. And she's got, as of 10/4, here's her progress and how she's been doing on that. Same deal. Here's what I'm going to do, meaningful activities. This is my goal and how I'm going to move that one up, because I'm going to take my two lowest denominators and I'm going to move them up. And here's my very specific plan on what I'm going to do to make that happen. And here's how I'm moving in the progress. So this 0% could be because it's too early in the game and she hasn't seen any action happening. But as she's moving through the plans and working these daily, again, moving up that 0% to the things that I've said I'm going to do to move the dial, I am progressing on. And then that will ultimately lead to the status up on top. Any questions on that? So again, if you're here and if you're in the red, it just means that your focus and execute isn't fully populated. So you may very well have a plan fully in place. If you need any help on focus and execute, let me know. You may be a housing director who has the plan, but the executive director may not know what that plan is. Again, in a lot of these transitions, it's easy for things to fall through the crack. So opportunity there. And again, several of you, goals are listed, really good goals, things moving forward. The next one is the use of the customer concern database. And in this one, we've talked about it in the past. So what I do for this one Let me just gonna. Open up the. Again, with some new leaders here, we'll pull up the database. And I'll bring it in here. And it's a quick and easy way to look at how we are doing. I'm going to pull up Madonna because I know I was down there a couple of months ago. And
The person who has the telephone number 507-206-2251, could you mute? We're just getting some background noise from you. Thank you.
okay, where'd Madonna go? Okay, I'll pick on Byron. I can't find Madonna. Okay, so what I did is you just go into any reports and then the service type, you can type in assisted living, and I changed this to 0 so that we've got a full year plus. And I can see that Marie is using this database, which is great. But it looks like she's only had one complaint, which was in October. So she may be new to this database. If I pulled up the towers or someone else, I may find some different things. I know at Madonna Towers, I was going to give the example of that because there's a ton in here. So they've been doing a really good job of using this database to track their concerns so that they can make improvements here. So if you just run this report, this simple report, you can see when was the last time that this was used. If it was a while ago, it's very rare for us to be perfect for more than a couple of months. So I would question whether we're using it. You want to make sure that the admin and or the social worker, the people who are signing off on this, are signing off timely, making sure they're responding within 24 business hours, making sure they're resolving with 72 business hours. So I saw some opportunity there. And then in other ones, it's still in use just in the long-term care. In every community, it's in use. So there is people using this. It is hardwired in the SNF for the most part. It's a new process. It's a new expectation in the housing. So again, kudos, Marie, for getting this enrolled, and I'm sure we're going to see more going forward. But check your database, make sure that you're using it, make sure that the process is going in place. Okay. Any questions there?
I would just add that if this is Jerry Penny, if you should need training or you're seeing this, you're going, oh, this is great, but I'm not sure I know how to use this well. Jana does training on this anytime you need it. So reach out to Jana Kova.
So Jana actually schedules them. I'm going to show you one other thing here that will help you find that. So if you go to eSource, on the main page, you can see a calendar. And it's short right now because it only goes till the end of the calendar year, and then it'll pop back up again. You'll see all of the training that's going to be happening for months and months out. And I believe it's almost every single month that Jana actually does a training. She did do some training a couple of months ago on this call, and that is videoed. And then I believe, I'm not sure if Jana's back. She was out for a little bit. So if your need is urgent, I can help you as well, or your RNS can help you. Anything else you would add to that, Jerry?
Nope, Jana's back.
Oh, she is. Yay. Okay. All right. Reach out to Jana. All right. And person-centered wellness plan. I'm going to go into Matrix. And this is Linda's training environment. So it's going to be blank. But this is what we're looking for in this. And first, I have to give kudos to folks because in the past, when I would look at this, I would see almost all of them being blank. And I'm seeing a growing number being filled out. So again, processes, getting them hardwired, putting them in place is not an easy thing. And I can definitely see progress. I did, now when I'm going out to communities, I'm looking at this and I'm looking to see not only is it being done, but is it then being integrated into the service plan? And we'll talk about that a little bit. So not in every state is this required. In every state it is recommended, but if I am in North Dakota and I have a new admission, it's a form I need to choose. If I'm in Minnesota or Missouri, it's a mandatory form. And so ideally it's everywhere, but again, mandatory in those two states because the laws of those states require us to show how we are assuring person-centered care. And so again, things are progressing, really proud, but what I see is we're just kind of missing the integration of it, okay? So this is, like I said, the actual database. It needs to be in matrix. If it is in a file in the wellness office, it's not doing anybody any good. And we should be filling this out and we should be asking questions. And again, it's going to be blank because this is a dummy environment. It's going to be asking questions that help us to give that person-centered care. So you want to delve to get kind of meaningful answers. So the first thing is what to call me. I was in a community the other day and I noticed that she likes to be called grandma. And so I asked the director of nursing, do people call her grandma? And she said, no. And we talked about this. She's like, oh, we were missing that piece. Like, we were missing that integration. I didn't know that. And so she was going to go back and kind of correct that because that grandma should be included somewhere in the notes so that people know her and know that she likes to be called grandma. So there's 3 different sections in this. So the personal information, getting to know you, which is really important, right? When we talk to people, we should know who they are. And then the second one is likes and dislikes. And this is where we want to get much more detailed on what is important to people. So I like to attend what I like to attend, what the work I like doing. I like to volunteer. I like to participate in activities. So all of this, again, is important for building a wellness plan around them, for allowing people to get to know them. And then lastly, the third piece is my daily preferences. And this piece is key. And this piece, and all of them I see where we kind of fall through, but this piece is really important to setting up the clinical care. What I see in many of them is things like this. I never want to go to bed before 9. And most of them that I'm seeing that are, I never want to go to bed before is I never want to go to bed before 10. But yet I look in the service plan and it says to put them to bed at 8 o'clock. I like to start my day this way. I see a lot of them where people are not wanting to get up and they don't want breakfast. They don't want to get up till 10 or 11 in the morning. And the service plan is saying, get me up at 8 in the morning. So when the wellness person is asking these questions, and again, we went through this training and we can give you new training if you missed it. We want to make sure that it's not just kind of that 10,000 foot fluff. We want to make sure it's meaningful. Like when you, what is important for us to know to assure your care is tailored to you. So what does my preferred night routine include? Other things that I prefer to do. What is my hair preference? And in this one, I see things like, you know, they like to get their hair cut every, you know, once a month or whatever, which is important to know. But this is also more important, like in one of them where I saw this done really well, and then I met the woman 5 minutes later, and you had done it, which was great. So she put, she loves bling. She put, I love to have my hair down, but I also like to have bling. And so, you know, some sort of bread or some sort of whatever in her hair. And that's exactly what she was wearing. So people got the information, but it wasn't in the service plan. It wasn't anywhere in the notes. And so if the aide didn't know that or didn't see it because it was a new aide or a pool aide or whatever, they wouldn't have known that. So this should, again, a note being put into the service plan. So types of clothing and certain foods. And where it all wraps up is right here. Preferences and routines and how can you help me? In every single one I checked, this is blank. And this is the piece that pulls it together. So I just spent all this time telling you about myself, that I don't like to get up before 10 o'clock in the morning. I don't like to go to bed until after 11. I like to stay up and watch the news. I want my hair down. I like my bling in my hair. And so now that needs to come together is what pieces of that need to be transformed to action. So the person completing this form needs to think about that and say, okay, this is important. So you said that you don't typically eat breakfast and you're like, do you want me to put into your service plan not to wake you up until 10 in the morning? Yes, that's how you can help me. That's what I'd like to do. So you want to bring it into actionable items. And then bring that to the person who can best address that. So if I don't want it food or breakfast in the morning, we want to make sure dietary knows that, right? So they're not looking for the person at breakfast. If I don't want to get up, we want to make sure nursing knows that. So they include it in the service plan, and the service plan should say, don't disturb until 8 a.m. We got a question going here. How filling this out show up on the service plan for the aides to see? Linda, can you answer that?
So it does not automatically show up, but when you're doing your review or you're opening a new service plan or new evaluation, everything will pull over because it will copy over from the time it was filled out. So you as the nurse are filling out the new assessment. You're going to open this up and you're going to read it. I can either copy what the wellness people put in here and paste it into my appropriate place in my service plan. So if I see that I want to wear my hair parted on the left side and don't put gel in it, I'm going to put that under my ADLs, and I'm going to put that into my notes for the aides to know that. Under food preferences, if it's please make sure I have coffee before my meal, I can put that into the dietary section of the evaluation. So you're not, the nurse isn't necessarily filling this out, but we are going to read it and we're going to look at it and we're going to try and incorporate this into the service plan as part of our job.
And
So that everything in the services,
sorry, go
no,
ahead.
the aides cannot see this form. This form is not part of the evaluation. You need to transfer anything pertinent from here over to your evaluation.
So it's used, so when, in most communities, it's the wellness person doing this. So the wellness person, and how I've recommended all communities use this, is they get the information. How can you help me? You know, the person comes in, and within the pre-move in, we give them the form and we tell them that once they move in, we're going to go through this with them. Then the wellness person, they've already thought about their answers, they've had time to think about, you come in with your little tablet, you put this in here, you get that information, what can I do for you? How can we help you? How can we make it person-centered? Then what I recommend is in stand-up, hey, welcome new admission Linda, here's what she likes, here's what you should know. And then I would make sure that the key people know it. If she's not eating breakfast, make sure culinary news knows that, because they should put a note in theirs. And again, as Linda said, then nursing knows what they need to know. But nursing should also then, on that 14-day review, or when after the, whatever you, after the admission review it, then you look at this, you make sure, is my service plan matching these needs? Is my service plan need to be adapted? Is it need to be moved at all, to really make sure that I've got a person-centered service plan? Make sense?
Yep, and if it's a long, if it's a lot of information for you to type, just copy, paste it over into the appropriate place into the service plan. You don't have to retype it. It's very easy to copy and paste.
So just copy. There you go. And then I can move it right on over, and I can just put it right in my notes so the aides can see it. And then that's where, if it's in the service plan and the notes and the aides are compliant to the point of care documentation, then we've got person-centered care and our satisfaction is going to go up, which is why the person-centered care is a part of our customer service goal. Make sense? Doing the pre-admission assessment gives the answers to a lot of these questions.
It does. So after you do your pre-admission, and they might fill out this paperwork for you before they even come in, you know, after the first 14 days, that's what's really important, that 2 weeks that they're getting used to us, and things might change. That's why we want activities to go talk to them. You know, hopefully they're adjusting better and now they really liked that one activity, and can we set up an escort to get there? Or I decided that I like the breakfast here, so I think I'm going to eat breakfast now every morning. It's really that first 2 weeks is so important to get to know our residents and That's why we redo our admissions pretty much in every state by day 10 or day 14.
Yep, and I see that we have a chat here, which I think is a perfect reality. Diane Grove basically says, can we change this anytime we want? Absolutely, 100%. You know, if I'm sleeping until 10 because I feel sluggish because I'm a little depressed, and now all of a sudden I've got all these friends and I'm ready to get up and do the breakfast club. You know, when you do that that renewed evaluation, whenever you do it, you should be looking at these were the preferences that you indicated. Is that still true? Do you still want me to wait until 10 before I come in? Or are you now ready to get up a little earlier that you're feeling better? So that's 100% what you should be doing.
And you could always put that little note in, and if you're just going into the service plan and changing the time, there's always the option for additional notes. And I would put it right into the service plan. Resident now states she would like to get up earlier. So that's why there's a time change, so that they know that's correct.
So again, you can see lots of green in here where people are starting to use it. Oh, that's customer concern. I'm sorry. Well, so over here, you can see a lot of the yellow, and the yellow is just really that they're using it, but it's not integrated in the service plan. Note in some of these reds, it's because it's not required in that state. But again, a really good way to make a person-centered plan. And if you are from one of the states that it's not required and you want it to be more integrated and want some help, let me know and we can make sure to support you in that. So then lastly, and this is almost a month old now because Linda puts it out on the first of the month and our call is always the last of the month. But again, this is wonderful. We are seeing less and less red, which is great. We are seeing more green. We did drop down just 1% because a few of you dropped. So again, this is really important when you have a new employee, you want to make sure that they understand and are using not a piece of paper, not what someone told them that they're supposed to do when they're there, but they're actually looking at the handheld or the Chromebook or whatever they're using and looking at that person's care plan, reading the notes, getting that orientation to that person. It's critical not only to care, assuring that they get the care they need, but that it's person-centered care.
And I think we need to move to charting in real time. We're still seeing a lot of your charting at the end of the shift. And I think we would capture more if we did real-time charting and just trying to, move that through the communities a little bit better, I think would be your compliance would go up.
Okay. All right, so how do we get to the 54%? We use the customer concern database. We assure person-centered care, and we document our other plans, our community-based plans, and focus and execute, and how we're doing it. So again, just lastly, these are some of the things that I saw, and we've talked about them all. I like to lay down after lunch. I don't want to go to bed till after 10. I like breakfast at 5 a.m. I don't want breakfast. So lots of opportunity in there. All right, finance. Just seeing if we have any other chats. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the October results. Now, remember for the skilled nursing facility that Kevin and team did apply for some additional funds. So I haven't heard anything on whether we received any of those, but I do anticipate that there would be some more dollars coming in that way. And I know that I've seen a lot of buzz in the different states in trying to help out our industry. So don't let this gloom and doom make you feel like it's worse than it currently is. But so we are a little off plan here. So our budget was that we were supposed to be at a loss of operating. So our revenue was supposed to be above zero at 150,000. I can talk, and we are actually at a loss of $7,497,000. So our budget variance year to date is 7,647, and 1 million of that came in just in the month of October. So definitely an opportunity, and I think we all know that a lot of this is relating to our pandemic that we are living through. So you can see in census, and I can pull up the census report too, but the housing is the green. So we're going up just a little bit. If you look at the trends, it's definitely in the other report that's on eSource, you can see the trend line a little bit better, is going up, but the SNF is going down at this point in time. So again, need to support the SNF, need to support getting staff in so they can accept admissions. In Minnesota, I'm not sure if you all heard, but St. Gertrude's is a decompression site, meaning the state is helping them to give them additional staffing so that they can take more admissions. And I believe Marion was also just approved to be a decompression site. So I think that there's lots on the horizon that's going to help this. But again, a lot of that is having to do with staffing. And I think Governor Walz just redeployed like 400 service persons in Minnesota. And again, saw some information from Missouri saying their state's going to do something similar, I think. So where are we at, the different groups? And you can see this is really just a total long-term care. So what are the losses coming from the long-term care? And you can see that most of it is coming from operations, some of it from support center, some of it from the insurance pools, but it's really all about the census as we go through. It just shows how each individual community is doing. And then here is the, let's go past this one. Yeah, occupancy. So if you look at our total occupancy, you're going to see assisted living, we're at 76% with a budget of 82. So that for us is our opportunity as well. And same deal, we were budgeted to lose 399,000, most of it a plan for Windermere Way, and we lost 812,000. And again, most of it Windermere Way. But if you look at what's happening at Windermere Way, they are admitting right and left. So it's an awesome thing. But tough to be a new building when you're opening up in COVID. So that's kind of the story with all of it. It's really just we're off plan due to census, and something we can fix. Any questions on that? Oh, Regina SNF is also to be a compression site. That's fantastic, Sherry. Great news. Any questions on the finances? All right. So we'll go to our dashboard here. Let's see, I have closed. Where's my dashboard? So bring over our dashboard. Measurements will eliminate the sniff. So it's just us. And this is the Benedictine performance. ALF recommend. This is the one we're trying to get up to that 54%. This is the associate retention. So we're on goal for 12 months, which is awesome. Love to see that green. Time to fill, still opportunity here. Make sure we're reaching out into ISOMs. Make sure you're moving people through when HR talks to you. Make sure you make that a priority. Cash flow we just went through. And again, this is the transformation, moving to 60% housing, 40% SNF by adding additional housing as we continue to do that. And census, as we just talked about, actual to budget, we are in the red. So that's the strategic measures. And then if we go to the operational dashboard, we can see how we're doing from an operational perspective. And again, for those of you who are here, if you go to the communities, I have it picked as Benedictine system, but you can choose to pick just your site and you will get your site specific data. So, so again, safety index is falls, medication errors, satisfaction with spiritual care opportunity. That is a big one for a majority of us. So working on this is an opportunity to, again, move the dial on all of us. Social engagement, little below plan, 90-day retention, moving up, 12 months is again, we're good. Foundation contribution, working on that. And then cash flow, all again, based on the report we just saw. Any questions on the dashboard? Okay. All right, so at this point in time, unless there are other questions, if you're not from Minnesota, you can go ahead and log off. In Minnesota, please stay on. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Stay safe if you're traveling. I hope you have a great time in your communities as well. And thank you. Okay, Minnesota, a couple of things just to let you know. When we updated all of your licenses to the new assisted living license, it was just easier for Ben and I to make me the authorized agent for all of you. That way we could fill out the forms for you, we could get everything done. An authorized agent is a person who can speak on behalf, but it is acknowledged that this person doesn't necessarily have anything to do or own the operations. So that is the LALD. And then also in the application, you have to state who the managerial officers are, okay? The authorized agent is not listed as a managerial officer. So through time, if we want, we can change it so I'm not the authorized agent, but your executive directors are listed as management agencies, your LALD is listed, your director of nursing is listed, and also within there, the managing agent or the authorized agent identified a person to be responsible for sensitive information, and which is basically the background studies. And so when I did that, as the authorized agent, when you got your license, I set up the HR leads to have the access to this database. Okay. I myself, once I did that, that link was gone. And I have no ability to change that in any sort of database. Now, there is a form I can fill out and send to the state as the authorized agent asking to change it, but I don't have a login to NetStudy, so I can't go into NetStudy and change it. I'm not allowed to log in. So the community and what they call the SIP, the person who owns the database, is your HR lead. That person and that person only can add other persons to the database. So we recently had a situation in which the HR lead turned over and there was no transition. And we are still working to get someone at the state to respond so we can change this. So based on that experience, I think it's really important to make sure that your SIP, who should be your HR person who does your background studies, puts in alternative backups so that we don't end up in this situation in the future. Okay. Questions on that? Because I know we were thinking, oh, authorized agent, she can go in. Can't. And this is where it just talks about it. How can I add users to NetStudy 2.0? This is where it basically just says that I don't have the right to do that, and it has to be the person within the community who owns it. Questions on that?
I'm wondering, Penny, this is Jerry. Has this information been shared with the HR lead so they know that they have to do this as well?
You know, that's a really good idea, Jerry. I will. Does anybody on the call know what the HR distribution list is called? I can find out. I'll send out a notice. Thank you for that suggestion. Okay, the other thing, I'm gonna switch over to month-end billing. The other thing that we've been noticing, when Linda and I go out to communities, we both do an audit. And this has to do with the fact that we have a month-end process. We have an ongoing process where the clinical side that determines the level of care is manually put into the billing side where we bill out the level of care. As you know, in any transition, there is an opportunity for something to fall. So we're constantly auditing this just to hardwire this process. And so there is a month-end billing process to go through that all of you should be doing, a check and balance to make sure that it's correct, and you should be doing that every month. And so we're integrating that into the BOM training, we integrate into the housing leader training, we integrate into the nursing training. And so we're continuing to work and improve on that. But in those audits to see where that's at, one of the things that we've noticed is even when you're doing the process, when it comes to the elderly waiver, the levels aren't matching. So we started asking, why aren't they matching? I mean, there was one in one community where we identified that the levels are missing. And so the business office person literally like the day before said, I got it fixed. And you know what, I moved it from nursing to business office, but when we looked, it was the wrong level. And what happened was somebody told them that if it's elderly waiver, you just pick the level that's closest to what you're being billed for elderly waiver. That is not true. These levels should always match. So I want to make sure we're working from our support team side to dissuade whoever is out there stating this, to make sure that everybody understands, but the levels should always match. And then according to our billing process, you put in the actual rate for EW of what you're getting paid. So I'll stop there. See any questions on that? Okay. So then the other question that people are asking is, what about the equalization? If you're getting paid more for elderly waiver than you would under private pay, I would ask myself two things. Do I have the documentation of the services? Is there something missing? Because if I'm getting paid more than elderly waiver, there's probably something missing in what I'm documenting. And that again needs to go back to nursing to look at the service plan, and do I have everything included in there? Could also be some of the cost of socialization and things like that, which again, you can kind of build into the service plan. And if you need help with that, then you can ask Linda as the revenue specialist. She can help you in what you're doing. So again, private pay should be more than EW. If EW is higher and you're worried about the equalization, reach out to Linda. She can help you look at your service plan, see where it's falling. If you are seeing this in more than one person, it means your rates are probably too low. And so we would need to look at the rates, and that would be call out to me, and I can help you take a look at that, and we can work with your OVP. Any questions? Okay. And that is all that I had. I'll give one more second for any other questions. All right, well, Minnesota, thank you for staying on. Have a safe and healthy Thanksgiving. Thanks for everything you do, and have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you.
Hey Penny,
Yeah.
it's Barb. Can I just pick your brain on something for a sec?
Yep, let me